He was just a teenager with dust on his shoes and a dream in his eyes. But the moment he stepped into that showroom, they looked at him like a joke. No name, no suit, no status, just skin. They laughed, they dismissed. But the next morning, those same doors opened again. And this time, he wasn't alone. He brought someone they never expected. A man who didn't need to speak to be heard, because when he moved, the entire room fell silent. The morning sun lit up downtown Manhattan like a stage, but inside Lancaster Elite Autos, it was all shadows and silence. Glass walls, Italian marble floors, and the subtle hum of luxury whispered one thing. If you had to ask the price, you didn't belong. A young couple in high-end athleisure admired a midnight blue Eros RR, a hypercar priced north of $3 million. Its specs hidden like a secret only money could unlock. That's when the door opened. Two teenage boys, no older than 17, stepped inside. No designer belts, no Gucci shades, just plain white tees, cargo shorts, and sneakers tired from chasing buses and summer heat. Their names were Jaden and Malik Carter, brothers from Brooklyn, and their eyes, full of something rare, genuine awe. They said nothing at first, just stared at the Eros like it had been pulled from a dream. Jaden leaned over and whispered, "That's the one. Remember the clip I showed you?" Malik nodded silently, his gaze locked on the vehicle's carbon fiber silhouette. And that's when the room changed. A sharp click of leather shoes, a shadow across the showroom. "Can I help you?" The voice cut through the air like a blade. The man wore a tailored suit the color of storm clouds. Silver cufflinks, tie knotted like it mattered. His name was Mr. Avery Cross, top salesman for 5 years. And right now, he looked at the boys like they'd just tracked dirt onto a cathedral floor. Jaden cleared his throat, trying to sound casual. "We were just looking. Curious about the Eros. Is it really under 2.9 seconds from 0 to 60? Avery's smile thinned into a line. He looked them up and down, from sneakers to sweat on their brows. "It starts at 3.2 million, he said slowly, like he wasn't sure they understood numbers that high. "Maybe check out the pre-owned section. There's a nice 2013 Sonata out back." Malik's face fell. Jaden looked away. Near the espresso counter, a man in loafers chuckled. His girlfriend gave the boys a look that said, "Wrong place, wrong story." Jaden nodded, jaw tight. "We didn't mean to bother you." "You didn't," Avery replied flatly. "But let's not waste your time either. These cars aren't for spectators." The word stuck like gum on the floor. They turned, the silence wrapping around their shoulders like cold water. As they walked toward the door, even the glass hiss of it opening felt like a dismissal. But just before they stepped outside, "Wait," the voice was softer, female. They turned. A woman in slacks and a soft gray blouse approached. Her curls were tucked into a low bun, her expression unreadable, calm, professional, but something else too. Human. "I'm Raina Moore," she said, her name tag glinting subtly. "Would you like to know more about the Eros?" Jaden hesitated. Malik looked at his brother, then back to Raina. They rolled their bikes back inside. She didn't talk down to them. She knelt beside the car, explained its engineering like they were equals, opened the door. "You can sit inside if you want." Malik blinked. "For real?" She smiled. "Yeah, for real." They took turns, no jokes, no Instagram, just reverence. When they stepped out, Raina handed Jaden her card. "You ever want to come back, you ask for me." Jaden held the card like it was a business class ticket to another life. Across the room, Avery whispered to a coworker, Waste of time. Raina heard him. She didn't respond. She just kept her eyes on the boys, because they reminded her of someone she used to be. And somewhere, under all that polish and price tags, something real had just happened. The ride home was quiet. Jaden and Malik coasted side by side through the late day light of Glenridge, a neighborhood where the lawns were clipped with surgical precision, and the cars barely whispered as they passed. Their bikes squeaked slightly, the only reminder that they didn't match the world they were riding through. They didn't talk much, didn't need to. The mansion at the end of the curved driveway wasn't new money flashy. It was built like it had nothing left to prove. A pair of sleek security gates opened at the recognition of Jaden's key fob chip, and the long path crunched softly beneath their tires. Malik glanced up at the house. "You think he's home?" Jaden nodded. "Yeah, office, probably." They dropped their bikes near the side entrance and slipped through the tall glass doors like they were entering a museum. Everything inside was still. White walls, oak floors, modern furniture, no clutter, only chosen things. In the study, the grand piano sat untouched, the kind of silence that lingered, not from lack of sound, but from what hadn't yet been said. At the piano sat Dr. Lionel Carter, their father, 48, calm, reserved. Every room shifted when he entered it, but now he didn't move. Hands rested on his knees, his gaze fixed on the silent keys. An untouched tumbler of amber liquid sat beside him. He didn't turn when they entered. He didn't need to. "Back already?" he asked, voice smooth as jazz in an empty lounge. "Yeah," Malik said quietly. Didn't stay long. He turned slowly in his chair, eyes meeting theirs. Jaden felt the pull of old instincts. Say, "It's fine, keep it moving." But something about the way his father watched him, still and patient, dragged the truth out instead. "No," Jaden said, "not really." Dr. Carter didn't react, just pointed calmly toward the two leather armchairs. "Sit." They did. The quiet held, almost sacred. Then, "Tell me." Jaden started, voice tight. "We went to Lancaster, the dealership, just to see the Arrows up close. We didn't touch anything, we were polite." Dr. Carter nodded once. "Then what?" Malik leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "One of the sales guys." He laughed. "Said the car cost over $3 million. Told us we didn't belong, didn't even bother pretending." Jaden looked down at his hands. "They didn't even ask who we were, just saw us." Dr. Carter stood, walking toward the tall windows behind him, hands behind his back. No anger, just silence sharpened to precision. "Did anyone treat you differently?" Jaden's tone changed. "Yeah, a woman, Raina. She explained everything. Let us sit inside, gave me her card, didn't ask who we were, she just saw us." Dr. Carter turned slightly. "Did she know your last name?" Malik shook his head. "We didn't say." A pause. Then the question came, low and deliberate. "Why do you think they treated you that way?" Jaden hesitated. "Because we weren't dressed like their clients." Malik said it straighter. "Because we're black." The words didn't echo, but they did settle like dust on glass. Dr. Carter didn't agree, didn't deny. "People often mistake appearances for value," he said, "and that mistake says more about them than it ever will about you." He turned fully now, his eyes focused. "You told me the truth, that's all I need." And that was it, no lecture, no fury, just clarity. The boys stood to leave, but Malik paused at the door. "You're not mad?" Dr. Carter's voice was almost a whisper. "At who?" "The salesmen, the people who laughed." He took a breath. "I don't spend energy being mad at people who show me who they are. I remember, and when it matters, I respond. He raised the glass, not to drink, but to close the moment. They left in silence. But upstairs, as Jaden pulled out a sketchbook of supercars and Malik refreshed engine specs on a cracked tablet, they both wondered the same thing. Was he really going to do something? And down in the study, lit only by the soft glow of a desk lamp, their father sat still. Not in hesitation, in preparation. The room was still. Outside the windows of Dr. Carter's study, the branches of the maple trees barely stirred. No wind, no birdsong. Just a quiet evening stretched out across Glenridge like a held breath. At his desk, Dr. Lionel Carter didn't move. His laptop glowed softly, casting a faint light across the polished wood and framed diplomas behind him. But his eyes weren't on the screen. Not yet. On the side table, the drink remained untouched. Then, almost without sound, he reached forward and clicked open a secure contact list. There was a name, marked only by a single character. R, no assistance, no barriers. A direct line. He tapped it once. The call connected after 2 rings. Rothwell, came the crisp voice on the other end. Dr. Carter's tone was low and deliberate. I need 2 units pulled and transported tomorrow morning. Full detailing. 0 tolerance on delay. There was a pause. Models? Aeros Quanta V2s, he said. Midnight Obsidian and Regal Azure. Spec package 7 and 9. I want them clean, coated, no visible branding. I want the silence to speak. Rothwell didn't question. Delivery point? Lancaster Elite Autos, Manhattan, 8:45 sharp, not before, not after. Cars stay sealed until I arrive. I'll come on foot. Another beat of silence. Understood, Rothwell replied. Drivers are briefed? Dr. Carter asked. They will be. I don't want performance, I want presence. Let them feel the stillness before they hear it. Yes, sir. Dr. Carter ended the call. He leaned back slightly, then opened the drawer to his right. Inside was a narrow black box. He took it out gently and opened it. A pen, heavy, matte silver, engraved LNC. It had been a gift from the first investor who ever believed in him. A signature tool, used not for convenience but for intent. He unfolded a pre-printed authorization form and signed with practiced precision. Not out of anger, out of principle. When he closed the pen case and placed it back inside the drawer, something in the room shifted. The lights hadn't changed, but the air had. It was no longer silence. It was the weight of momentum building. The next morning, the sun rose behind the skyline like a spotlight breaking across a stage. The streets around Lancaster Elite Autos were still damp with dew. Quiet, except for the occasional murmur of a cyclist or commuter. The showroom, as always, was gleaming. Polished floors, glass that reflected money and ambition. Inside, Avery Cross was holding court again. And they had no clue, he told a junior rep. One of them actually asked if it really went 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. I mean, seriously? The rep chuckled, though his laugh didn't quite land. That's when the room began to change. At exactly 8:45 a.m., without fanfare, without revs or revving, 2 hypercars pulled up, side by side, one black with hints of matte silver, the other a blue so deep it seemed to drink the morning light. They didn't make a sound. They didn't need to. The doors remained closed. The drivers stayed still. Inside, the energy shifted. Conversations dropped mid-sentence. A customer holding a latte turned, nearly spilling foam across his suede jacket. That's a Quanta V2, someone whispered. Wait, that's 2 of them? Phones came out. Staff stared. No one moved closer. Then the first door opened. Jaden stepped out, wearing the same white tee, cargo shorts, and city-worn sneakers from the day before. Not a single thing had changed, except his posture. He didn't smile, didn't scan the crowd. He simply stood like the room now belonged to him and the world was catching up. Malik followed, the same clothes, but a different energy in his eyes, less hesitation, more resolve. They circled to the second vehicle, and as the other door opened, time seemed to pause. Dr. Lionel Carter stepped out. Tailored charcoal suit. No jewelry, no flash, just presence. The kind that doesn't ask permission, because it never needed it. Inside the dealership, Avery saw them through the glass, and froze. His words cut off mid-sentence. His face drained. He took one small step back, as if the space between them had become dangerous. Jaden, Malik, their father. 3 figures, one message. And the moment the showroom doors opened with that same quiet hiss, the same sound that dismissed them yesterday, the silence inside wasn't awkward anymore. It was reverence. As Dr. Carter and his sons stepped into the dealership, the showroom held its breath. The soft echo of their footsteps on marble was the only sound. Staff members paused mid-keystroke. A manager lifted his head over a glass-walled office. A woman flipped her tablet over, pretending to read. But no one said a word. The 3 of them walked with quiet precision, no wasted movement, no swagger. It wasn't a performance. It was a statement. You saw us yesterday, now see us clearly. Dr. Carter approached the reception desk. The young woman behind it straightened. Welcome to Lancaster Elite, how can I help? He spoke before she could finish. I'd like to speak with the staff member who assisted my sons yesterday. The room tightened around those words. The receptionist blinked. Of course, one moment. But before she could move, Avery Cross stepped forward too fast. Sir, actually, that was me, he said with a wide, hurried smile. We spoke yesterday. I remember your boys. Great kids. Dr. Carter turned his head just slightly. His eyes landed on Avery like a scalpel drawn from silk. No, he said, every syllable sharp. You weren't the one who helped them. Avery faltered. I think maybe there's been a misunderstanding. Dr. Carter didn't look at him again. Instead, he turned to the man in the glass office. You're the floor manager? The man stood. Yes, sir. Do your security cameras work? Yes, we archive everything. Dr. Carter nodded once. Then I suggest you review yesterday's footage before we continue this conversation. The manager didn't argue. He simply disappeared behind the frosted glass. The next few minutes felt like a century. Customers glanced at the trio, then quickly away. A junior rep whispered something to another, who just shook his head. The entire floor buzzed with a silence so thick it felt electric. Malik looked down once, then forced his gaze up again. Jaden didn't look at anyone. He didn't have to. 10 minutes passed. Then the manager returned. His face had changed, not angry, not confused, just pale. The associate who spoke with your sons, he said carefully, was Miss Rena Moore. We have her clearly on camera assisting them with professionalism and respect. And this man? Dr. Carter asked, gesturing toward Avery, but never using his name. The manager swallowed. He misrepresented the interaction. His conduct was discriminatory. You could have heard a pin drop. Avery stood frozen. His mouth twitched, trying to form something. An excuse, a denial. But nothing came. Dr. Carter turned fully to face him now, not with rage, with judgment. You made a decision the moment my sons walked through those doors, he said, voice smooth but cold. You looked at their clothes, their skin, and decided they didn't matter. You assumed, you laughed, you dismissed them. Avery's lips parted. No sound followed. You didn't fail as a salesperson, Dr. Carter continued. You failed as a man. The words didn't echo. They didn't need to. They landed hard. The manager cleared his throat, stepping forward with a clipboard. Effective immediately, he said, voice firm. Mr. Cross is terminated from his position at Lancaster Elite Autos. Security will escort you off the premises. Gasps. A few customers blinked in disbelief. Avery didn't argue. He didn't protest. He simply nodded, eyes on the floor. As he passed Jaden and Malik, he didn't look at them. Because he couldn't. They hadn't changed, but everything around them had. He exited through the same doors that once hissed them away. But this time, he was the one being shown out. Dr. Carter didn't watch him go. He turned instead to the manager. Now, he said calmly, bring me Miss Moore. The tone wasn't a request. It was recognition. And just like that, the room shifted again, not around status or luxury, but around choice, around who had chosen to see, and who had chosen to look away. The glass doors opened again, and through them stepped Raina Moore. She looked just as she had the day before, slacks, modest heels, gray blouse, clipboard in hand. No makeup meant to impress, no posture to demand authority, just presence, steady and quiet. Her eyes landed on Jaden and Malik first, surprise, then warmth. Is everything okay? She asked, brows slightly lifted. Before they could answer, Dr. Carter stepped forward. More than okay, he said. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. You treated my sons with dignity when no one else did. You saw them when others only saw assumptions. That matters. Raina blinked, visibly caught off guard. They were respectful, she said softly. Curious. It wasn't a bother. Dr. Carter nodded once, then looked at the Eros Quanta 5 two behind them, the same car his sons had stood in awe of, as if it were a planet they might never reach. They liked that one, he said calmly. Every feature they mentioned they understood. Raina hesitated. Sir, that vehicle starts over $3 million. Then make it 3.1, Dr. Carter said. His voice was so even, so matter-of-fact, it made time stop. He reached into his inner jacket and pulled out a pen. Sleek. Silver. Waited. He stepped to the sales counter, the same counter where his sons had been gently ushered away, and signed the order in less than 15 seconds. No discounts, no branding. Full commission goes to Miss Moore, he said. The room stared. The same staff who had watched two boys be shamed now stood as witnesses to a reckoning disguised as a transaction. Raina looked at the paper, then back at him. Sir, I don't know what to say. Dr. Carter handed the keys not to her, but directly to Jaden and Malik. Happy early birthday. No cheering, no applause, just two boys standing taller, holding something they earned not because of what they wore, but because of who they never stopped being. As they turned to leave, the automatic doors parted again. Jaden looked straight ahead. Malik looked around once, and this time no one laughed. No one even blinked. Because now, the silence meant something different. Respect. Dr. Carter paused before stepping out. He turned one last time to Raina. Keep doing what you did, he said. Kindness doesn't go unnoticed, not forever. She nodded, voice almost a whisper. Thank you. The Eros slid into the morning traffic like it belonged there. Because it did, and inside Lancaster Elite, no one moved. Not yet. Because the room hadn't just watched a car being bought, they had just witnessed a lesson. Hours later, the hum of the showroom returned. The barista wiped down counters no one had touched. The junior sales reps quietly double-checked spreadsheets they didn't understand. The air still felt different. thinner, like something heavy had just passed through and left space behind. Raina returned to her desk. She didn't brag, didn't strut. She simply placed the signed sales order into her drawer and sat down with her clipboard, like it was just another day. That's when she noticed it. A sealed envelope, thick, heavy paper. Her name handwritten on the front in precise black ink. Inside was a single page. At the top, promotion letter. Effective immediately, Raina Moore, senior sales consultant. Her breath caught, but she didn't cry. She folded the paper, slid it into her bag, and stood. As she walked across the showroom, people looked. Not just because she had been seen, but because she had seen others, and that made all the difference. Back in Glenridge, the Carter home was calm again. Malik sat cross-legged on his bed, scrolling through engine diagnostics. Jaden flipped through a sketchbook, now adding something new. Not just cars, but designs for something different. A future that looked like him. Downstairs, Dr. Carter returned to his study. He didn't pour the drink, he didn't open the laptop. He simply looked at the photo hanging above the fireplace. A black and white portrait of his mother, standing in front of a library that wouldn't let her inside. She was smiling anyway. He whispered almost to himself, "They saw them." And that was enough. Because real power isn't loud. It doesn't show up in gold chains or applause. It shows up when the room gets quiet and still listens. And that morning, everyone did. Have you ever experienced or witnessed something like this? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us for more powerful stories that matter.